Good morning. Welcome to the First Parish in Framingham. We are a welcoming congregation, so whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. We welcome you here in the meeting house or on Zoom or wherever and whenever you may be watching this service in the future. I'm Jan Miller. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm your worship associate this morning. Be sure to read the announcements in the order of service. Immediately following worship, you are invited to join us for coffee hour in Scott Hall, just across the courtyard. I note that this morning, the youth group will be hosting their Undecorate the Tree holiday giving campaign in the memorial room. Please come pick up a decoration and support a child in need. And be sure to join us next Sunday after church for our Winterfest holiday fundraiser, including a gingerbread house contest. Please take a moment to turn your phones or other devices to their quietest settings. While beeps and buzzes can be distracting, we welcome your human noises, especially the sound of your singing, so please join in. Today is a multi-generational service. We welcome folks of all ages to participate in today's service with your voices, hearts, and minds. Since 1701, people have gathered as this community to rest or recharge, to be challenged or affirmed. Those people are like you. You belong here. Maybe only for the next hour, but we hope for longer. We're happy to have you with us. I now invite you to take a deepening breath in and out. Continue to take a few more breaths and begin to release whatever you need to let go of to be more fully present to yourself, one another, and the sacred in this time and place. A flame within a chalice is a primary symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith tradition to symbolize the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. It is our tradition to begin our worship by kindling the flame of our chalice. The words for our chalice lighting this morning were written by Kenny Wiley. The first time my heart felt broken, I went to church. When my mom died, I went to church. When I failed a friend, I went to church. When I felt like I'd failed at life, I went to church. I didn't go asking for forgiveness. I didn't go asking for salvation. I went to a church, a Unitarian Universalist church, to be reminded through hugs from friends, awkward interactions with strangers, and inspired messages from leaders that no matter how down I feel, I still matter. I have worth. Please rise in body or spirit to sing our opening hymn in the Teal hymnal, number 1051, We Are. Please remain standing to sing our song of affirmation and remain standing for our spoken affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve all life with compassion, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God.
Okay. Oops.
Please be seated.
Thank you for being seated without instructions. Y'all good. All right. So first thing I want to do is introduce you to a community art project. If you are sitting way back in the pews, you have not received a little piece of paper and a little package of pipsqueak markers, because I ran that, there are 35 of them, and it just, I didn't have enough to go back that far. So, if you didn't get one, get one. So these little packages, each little cardstock square looks like this, and there's 2 in each of the first, like, 2/3 of the pews. And it looks kind of random. Yours will have a couple of lines or a bunch of lines. But when we put them together, they're going to make something beautiful. So when we go, you'll notice that there's a number on the back of yours. When we go over to the social hall, there will be a piece of cardstock with numbers on it, and you'll take yours and find where it goes and put it into the picture. And we'll leave this out for a couple of weeks in there so that we can get it finished, and when it's done, we'll have a beautiful mural that we all created together. So color on that while you're listening. Color on your order of service. Color on the coloring papers available in the lobby. Please don't color on the pews or the hymnals because they're washable markers, but let's not test it. Okay. Today's story let's see, I have it in my bag, is called Neither. And you'll be able to see the pictures here on the screen in front of me. This story is written and illustrated by Airlie Anderson. Once upon a time, there were 2 kinds. This and that. These and those. One or the other. Until honk! What kind are you? I'm both. You can't be both. You must be neither. I'm neither? Neither tried to play a this game. You can't play with us. You're not rabbity enough. Neither tried to play a that game. You can't play with us. You're not birdie enough. Why don't you find somewhere else? You're not one of us. You're neither. Neither, neither, neither. So neither flew off. Where did you come from? Honk! I'm from the land of this and that, but I'm neither. So I'm looking for somewhere else to fit in. This isn't somewhere else, but you'll fit in here. Where is here? The land of all. So many different kinds. Come play with us. But I'm different from everyone here. I'm neither red, nor orange, nor yellow, nor blue. Exactly. Excuse us. We're from the land of this and that, but we don't fit in at home. We are looking for somewhere else. But you said I was neither. You said I should go somewhere else. Well, this isn't somewhere else. This is the land of all, and everyone fits in here. Once upon a time, there were many kinds, this and that, somewhat and whatnot, either, very, sort of, just, rather, a little, neither, and both. And all were welcome.
This is the time in our service that we share the things which weigh deepest on our hearts, our milestones, and happy and sad occasions. We share them because joy shared is joy expanded, and sorrow shared can feel as though someone is sharing our burden. You can submit your joys and sorrows either online or by writing them down in this book, which is normally at the back of our sanctuary. We sing from the hymn, "Comfort Me," so that our joy and sorrow can be held with song, but also so that you might have a song on your heart when you are joyful or sorrowful. We have two sorrows that have been, or concerns that have been submitted. From Valerie Murray this morning. The world has lost a true giver, Rosalind Carter. Thank you for her many years and many works of charity. And from Kathy Mello, remembering all those that are dealing with physical and emotional pain, to know that others care, especially during the holiday season. Let us now sing, "Comfort Me." Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, And for the joys, while we have none that were submitted, I'd like to share the joy of Thanksgiving this year with both of my children home together for a while, and it's been such a blessing. Let us now Sing With Me. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. And we light one final candle for all of the joys and sorrows too great to share. And we sing, Speak for Me. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. I invite you to settle in for a moment of contemplation and silence. I read this morning from a collection of contemplations and meditations by UU minister Mark Bellatini, Sonata for Voice and Silence. Slower and slower. Let the difficulties of the week take their Sabbath now, their brief and simple rest. Let the worries of the week lay their heft gently onto the dark earth below this carpeted floor, which can bear them with greater ease than any one of us can by ourselves. Let the tangle of feelings, the pull and push of these last 7 days sit still for a minute. Stop writhing in my heart and move no more than a Buddha at rest under a tree. Let there be stillness in my heart for a moment, the balance point between breathing in and breathing out, like the pause of a dancer between movements in the music. Let the breathing in this room be free and flowing. Let pulses trance a slower rhythm in the wrist. Let the coming silence be like hands pulling back a curtain, revealing the table set with the feast of life, which is present here and now, and has been the whole while. In the hustle and bustle of our week and our day, I invite you to sit in silence for 1 minute in this house, made holy by our presence here. Amen. As we prepare to take this morning's offering, may each of us look into not just our wallets or our checkbooks to see how much we have with us. Let us look into our hearts as well and see what is available there. How much love, how much generosity, how much faith, how much gratitude, how much hope. And let us take our offering from that account. If this is your first time joining us, you are invited to let the offering pass you by. The morning's offering will now be gratefully received.
This reading is by Saul Ulula from the book Becoming by Kayla Parker. It's called Pulled Between Parts. Identity is one of those concepts I have tried desperately to push to the sidelines for most of mi vida. It was always too complicated, too painful, or too divisive. To put it simply, I am biracial, white passing, queer, socioeconomically poor, agnostic, Unitarian Universalist college junior at an elite liberal arts college who was raised by a Caucasian single mother. Like all people, my identities are complex and multifaceted. My father was a Mexican immigrant. My mom is of European descent and was born and raised in Michigan. Due to my pale skin and ojos azules, no one ever suspects that I am of anything other than European descent. I can call myself Mexicano without ever experiencing what it is like to be the other. I can speak Espanol fluently and have been able to fully participate in the Latino communities in my hometown. But all of that seems not to matter much because I will never be called an offensive racial epithet. I will never be told to go back to my own country or to just speak English. To others, I will always be perceived as another well-meaning white guy flouting his privilege. I will never be the other when it comes to race. While I'm constantly told that I cannot possibly be Mexican, I love the Mexican part of my heritage. There are few things more comforting than making tamales from scratch on a rainy day or eating a pastel de tres leches con mi familia. I went to many quinceañeras when I was younger, and I speak to my Mexican grandparents only in Espanol. Yes, my narrative does not seem to follow that of the average Mexican American in the United States, but I don't think that matters. I feel Mexican, and I also feel a deep connection to my Michigan roots. My experience is becoming more common within the larger American identity narrative. Many of my peers have described feeling pulled between two or more parts of their heritage that make up their cultural identity. We feel uniquely attached to certain parts of our cultural heritage in different ways and for different reasons. My own racial and ethnic identities have pulled me particularly to the third principle of Unitarian Universalism, acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth. It is this faith commitment that has given others and myself the space to discuss the multiplicity of our identities and acknowledge the privileges enjoyed by white and white-passing people in American society. This faith has helped me to bridge the gap between my personal identities and the way I am perceived in the world, something I tried to ignore for most of my life. This fall, a brand new church group formed in this community of communities. Our most recent high school graduates, ages 18 to 25, have begun gathering one Friday a month in the Huntley Room for conversations and pizza and being together. Since our youth often wander away after senior bridging and never return, I felt, and so did Reverend Aaron, that it was extremely important for our young adults to have an established program to come back to. They could, of course, come back and join our regular church services, but they don't. And this is a matter of belonging rather than fitting in, which concept we will explore in a few minutes. I asked them why they don't come on Sundays, and this particular group of young people cited two things that keep them out of our sanctuary. First, they said that many of them have a really hard time sitting still for an hour. In this day of many people, not all of them young, discovering and honoring their neurospicy quirks instead of trying to fix or control them, sitting and listening for an hour is kind of excruciating. They need to do, not just receive. I might be among those people. And the second thing relates to this as well. This group told me they love to talk about theology, but just listening doesn't touch them in the same way. Having emerged from the pandemic and menopause, which both happened at the same time for me, with a fraction of my youthful attention span, I relate to this experience. And then I sat with a few of them one Friday night and watched them light up talking about the origins of Unitarian Universalism, the Council of Nicaea, mythology around Ishtar, the differences between the Greek and Roman pantheons, and how the cultural biases of each of those civilizations led to these differences, and also the Israel-Hamas war, police violence against the Sami in Scandinavia, and how so many experiences of queer and trans folk apply to other groups too. Y'all, they knew more than me about much of this stuff. So coming to church and talking about it works for them. Often we expect one kind of experience to work for every person. If I had a nickel for every time I've been in the conversation that goes, "We need more children, but the children are too loud and I can't hear," I would have a big pile of nickels. Both of these things are true. For some people, sitting still without something to do is really hard. I've always felt this way. I took notes obsessively in school during lectures because it was an acceptable thing for me to do with my hands. I knit in services until I became a part of the worship team, because otherwise I couldn't pay attention and I felt the need to talk during sermons. But others need both visual and auditory stillness to worship, and so their needs and mine are actually at odds. We can't do it all in one worship service, my friends, but we can create containers for different kinds of worship. Today, we're experiencing ways to worship that might help some of our young adults feel like they belong in our sanctuary. And I'll also point out that we do have some young adults and even some youth who come to our usual church services and enjoy them. Just like any broad group, young adults are not a monolith. Wiggly folks come in all ages. So next up, I'm going to show you a video of Dr. Brené Brown talking about belonging versus fitting in. A couple of years ago, I was on a very deep, very geeky Brené Brown dive, and I listened to or read every one of her books in a 6-month period. She tells this story several times, but the part that I couldn't find a video of that showed up in several of her books made a deep impression on me. She learned the wisdom that she is sharing in this video from interviewing 8th graders. They went straight to the heart of this topic that often mystifies adults.
Belonging. We're wired for love. We're hardwired for belonging. It's in our DNA. But let me tell you what belonging is. The opposite of belonging from the research is fitting in. That's the opposite of belonging. Fitting in is assessing and acclimating. Here's what I should say, be. Here's what I shouldn't say. Here's what I should avoid talking about. Here's what I should dress like, look like. That's fitting in. Belonging is belonging to yourself first. Speaking your truth, telling your story, and never betraying yourself for other people. True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. And that's vulnerable.
So to sum up what Brené is saying right there, is that belonging is being able to come to a place as yourself without having to change anything about you. Whereas fitting in is having to change who you are to match the expectations of the place that you're entering. So we all long to get to a place of belonging, but just as in the story about neither, the world often tells us that we don't get to actually be who we were becoming. We are told we must be quiet, sit still, wear those clothes, not these clothes. We must be brighter, shinier, duller, less loud. The world tells us who we can love, who we can play with, what music is acceptable, what art we can make, and whose approval we need to ask. Imagine who we might have become if the world hadn't thrown us off track. In fact, right now, turn to your neighbor or your neighbors. I'm giving you a full 5 minutes to have a conversation about becoming and belonging. There will be bonus points for the most meandering conversation in the room. If you care to tell me about it afterwards, we're not going to be asking you to share these conversations. We're just going to have them. But if you want to find me at social hour and tell me all about it, I will be there. The conversation itself is the point. All right, y'all, wrap it up. Please rise in body or spirit and join with us in singing hymn number 300 with heart and mind. right. So we're going to extinguish the chalice with these words from Kenneth Patton. Our task, or Emmy will extinguish the chalice. Our task is to be who we are in every way we can be. Our salvation proceeding in putting ourselves back together after each tumble. We iridesce, shine, and radiate. We exclaim and roar. We are. Thank you.